Today we're playing Destiny 1 in 2025, 11 years later. Yes, you still get Crucible matches after all this time. There's still some people playing. You also have people, obviously, that are playing raids and are doing a whole bunch of other stuff, PvE. There's a lot of players that are still, like, just playing Destiny 1 over Destiny 2, which is incredible. But I think that just speaks a lot to, just how much this game meant to a lot of people. I played this game back in the day, back in 2014, and I wasn't really into it like a lot of people were. I played a little bit of it and didn't really, it wasn't really my thing, but I remember just how huge Destiny 1 really is. Like, I had a couple of people I knew in high school that just no-life the shit out of this game, literally did nothing else but play Destiny and just grind and do all that shit. So, yeah, it's good to know that there's still life in this game after so much time. There's obviously not as much people that are going to be playing on the PS3 and 360, although from what I've seen online, there actually still are a couple of people that are playing. Like, you'll be able to find a couple of matches here and there, but obviously you'll find a lot more players on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The Xbox One is where this gameplay footage was taken from. So, I was playing on the Combined Arms playlist in the Crucibles, which is seemingly the best way to find matches. If you just search for Control or Free-for-All or any of the other modes, you're not gonna be as likely to find a match. So just keep that in mind. The Combined Arms playlist, which is like the first playlist that you'll see on the screen, like when you matchmake for the Crucibles, that's the one that's your best bet for finding games. What's really nice is that, let's say for some reason, let's say you played it on PlayStation back in the day, but now you have Xbox or vice versa. If you buy the Ultimate Edition, whichever one it's called, I forget which one it is, but if you buy like the one that's like, I think it includes all the DLC, right? If you get that version, you can actually start at level 40 right off the bat. So you don't have to worry about not being high level enough to play certain raids and missions. Like, you get all that shit from the get-go if you want to. If you choose that you want to grind, from level 1 all over again like the good old days, then, be my guest. You certainly can do that if you so want to. But I think it's nice that they have a feature like that available for people who, they want to go back to, their favorite game from the past, but they don't want to grind like 10 years ago because it's obviously not practical. You're going to spend more time doing other things, playing newer games, or just doing other stuff because we're all adults now, right? A lot of us were kids when this shit was out back in 2014. So, yeah, it's, in some ways, it's definitely shown its age. I think the biggest thing, honestly, is the fact that it's locked at 30 frames per second, which, when I was playing it back in the day, I didn't really care about because on console, pretty much all games were running at 30 frames per second, except for maybe like Call of Duty and Battlefield. But I was used to the 30 FPS experience, but I switched over to PC a number of years ago and have never looked back. And 60 FPS, like, I'll never play anything below 60 frames ever again because it's just so much better. Like, you don't understand the difference until you've actually felt it. So, yeah, going back from 60 to 30 was very, very rough for this game. And I attribute that at least partly to my terrible performance in this gameplay. Part of it is just because I was never good at Destiny to begin with. I'll put that out there. Like, I'm not gonna pretend like I was ever anything decent at this. But yeah, it was rough. It was definitely rough coming back after a while. I think I played it like a couple of times last year, and before that though, it was literally like 2015 when I played it previously. So it's yeah, it's a good game. It really is. It like, down to the maps and the gunplay and everything. Obviously, the PvE is where this game shines the most, but the Crucibles are also very good. I mean, it was developed by Bungie. Bungie knows what they're doing when it comes to designing a good multiplayer. I mean, Halo Reach was a little suspect. I wasn't a fan of that game, but otherwise, like, they're just great. Bungie, I don't know about these days. I feel like they kind of fallen off a little bit, especially with some of the stuff they've been doing with Destiny 2. That game, a lot of people are just not, like, they're done with it. They don't want anything to do with that shit anymore. So they'll go back to D1 every now and then. I do wonder, though, how long they're going to keep the servers online, especially with Sony now owning Bungie. They're notorious for shutting down a shit ton of old games that they don't deem worthy enough to keep online. So I think it's possible, honestly. Like, I don't want to speculate too much, but I think in the next, like, 2-3 years, Destiny 1 may be shut down for good, especially if they're really struggling to get people to play Destiny 2. Getting rid of D1 would, you know, in their mind probably be a good idea to get more people to play Destiny 2, because it's either that or nothing. I mean, a lot of people will choose nothing, honestly, but, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I mean, the servers still work well. I never get any lag or any issues like that. It's still holding strong, so that's good. But man, I wish that they put out a 60 FPS patch for this game. They didn't, because they obviously don't want anyone to go back to the old games. They want people to play Destiny 2. I assume that's the reason, because obviously the PS5 and Series X could support it. I mean, there have been plenty of other games, older games, that have gotten that kind of attention. But yeah, it's a shame. That's like the one thing that kind of like you're going to be thrown off by that, going back to the 60 frames. Otherwise, though, I think, you know, it holds up very well for a game that's over a decade old and was released like early into the last generation. And it's crazy that this game never came out on PC, because it was a really big game, and you know, it was at the time where like pretty much every game was getting a PC version, but not this one. I still don't know why, but it didn't. So that's another thing that was, you know, kind of unfortunate. But yeah, that pretty much describes Destiny 1 in 2025. Still has a little bit of life left in it. You still have a small but dedicated player base that you'll be able to find matches with, whether we're talking about the PvP or the PvE. Finding games is relatively easy. You're definitely best to play on the weekends, rather than, like, you know, if you try to play like on a random Monday at 3 o'clock in the morning, you might not be able to find a game as easily. I think a good way to find people, like if you're looking for new people to play with, there is a server on Discord called The Last Destiny City. I would link in the description, but for some reason they don't allow invite links, which is very strange. But yeah, you can find raids, and you know, you could find and meet new people. So that's probably like the easiest way and the best way to actually match up with people. Obviously, you can just find people randomly in game too, because there's a lot of people like that hang out in the last city on Earth, and forget the name of the hub world in the fucking Taken King DLC, but there's a lot of people there too. So you'll be able to get people. You know, it might take a little bit of effort and a little bit of work on your end, but there's enough people out there that you'll be able to actually still experience this game and get a lot out of it, despite it being 11 years old. So yeah, let me know in the comment section, do you still play Destiny 1 in 2025? And do you think that Destiny 1 is better than Destiny 2? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm interested to see how you guys respond to that.